We're good to go.
Avast me hearties, and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. Arg. I be your captain, Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is me first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz, to Full Stream Ahead. Mozz, in a world of capes and lunatics, of gods and monsters, sometimes you need a good lawyer. A superhuman lawyer, a She-Hulk, attorney at law. Season 1, Episode 3, The People versus Emil Blonsky. She-Hulk represents Emil Blonsky, a.k.a. the Abomination, but his parole hearing doesn't go as planned. Our director this week is Kat Coro, that's C-O-I-R-O, Francesca Gales and Jacqueline Gales have a writing credit, but they don't say what she did. Jessica Gao, created for television by John Buscema, of course, created the amazing She-Hulk. Oh, not giving Stanley the credit for it, man? Oh, no, there is. Stanley also gets it created by, and Hulk created by. And of course, hardest working two people in show business this week, Mozzie, Dana Schwartz, and Cody Ziegler, the staff writers. All right.
And they needed two people to write that 15-minute episode.
I understand it is a bit short.
Yeah.
You know, I do get that it is short. It is a short. You know, it's rapid fire. It's humorous. It's you know, it's aesthetic. You know.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be long shows. They're not going to give us a resolution. They're always going to leave us on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. They're going to try to make like Marvel into a sitcom, but a sitcom, you're right, gives us resolution at the end of our 20 minutes.
Well, I think you get a resolution, just not a you get a resolution and then another hanger. You know, and that's sort of the idea. Is like there's always something else. Although actually this one kind of resolves most of its plots by the end of it. You know, the gratuitous cameo by Megan Thee Stallion aside. Although honestly, I was here for that because
why wouldn't you be? I mean, I don't get it.
I mean, I was glad that she wasn't trying to be something more than she was necessarily ready for. And I'm not saying she's not ready for it. She could have played Marsha Rosenberg. Right. I might have been 100% there for it. But you know what? She knew to keep it in check. Let's just dip our toes in. I'll be Megan Thee Stallion in this episode. We'll see where it goes from there. But that gets us down to what is our, ironically enough, I mean, is that the A plot or the B plot? The Rena the Light Elf story.
Yeah, no, I wish more things like that were the A plot, but as it stands, the A plot is the title of the episode, Emil Blonsky.
Yeah. And there was an interesting thing pointed out during one item here where effectively when She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall, she has access to knowledge that she doesn't have when she's in character.
Right. It seems to me like someone is telling you a story and stops in between to make a little comment about it. So it seems like it's being told from the perspective of somebody in the future retelling the past.
Except for the fact that apparently time continues to progress while she's talking. You know, this is what's interesting.
But all of that can also be a construct, right? While I'm telling the story, it's moving on, but I'm just saying, hey, this is happening, you know.
Yeah.
Why else would she be talking?
She was just not listening to the guy when he was talking.
To whom she is telling this story.
Yeah.
I think they're putting us in somebody's shoes.
There's a lot of possibilities as to exactly what's happening. Me, as a weird, nerdy guy, I want it to be some kind of weird, magical, bifurcated existence. And within the concept, she doesn't have another person at the wheel. So maybe this is how it expresses itself, where there's a part of her that is actually, if you will, through the green door, that every so often just looks back
Did
And
she ever talk to us before she was hulked?
no,
She did
not that I
not.
know of. Well, we don't have much of her before she was Hulk.
No, no, but in what we were shown, were we ever shown her talking to us?
No, because by the first time we see her,
She's
she's already
already,
hulked.
yeah,
Because
she
yeah,
already thinks she's in control. Right, 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 right.
right, you know. So really, I do think it is just this idea that perhaps because she doesn't have another guy at the wheel, there's not another person in there with her. That the way
Or
Mhm.
that's who she's talking to.
She could be talking to the other person, you know.
Huh.
It might even be that her She-Hulk persona is actually talking back to her Jen Walters persona.
Oh, that's really good.
And
Yeah.
the She-Hulk persona, just because she is sort of an evolved Hulk, is
Right.
sitting here saying, "These are the things you don't know yet, but don't worry, we're
Right.
gonna get through it."
Yeah, but on the other side of it, when she's breaking the fourth wall as Jen Walters, she might be talking to She-Hulk.
That's a possibility too. Maybe they both. Maybe they're both
That's
talking
how
to
I
each
mean,
other.
that would be cool. That would be really
Yeah.
cool.
Although you do have the fact that the Hulk heard her talking to someone,
Oh,
and no one else has heard her talking to someone yet. So it's interesting that when she did that, the Hulk looks back too. It's like, who are you talking to?
her assistant. I gotta see if her assistant has ever noticed her
Yeah,
talking to herself.
yeah. I don't think we've seen that yet.
Hmm.
And the one time she's done it where other people were in the room, the other guy was walking and talking, and she wasn't listening.
Yeah,
So
and he's not the type to really pay granular attention to people that are below him, anyways.
exactly, like he says, she really couldn't give
Right,
whatever who her paralegal was, you know.
right.
Um, yeah, I like the Blonsky scenes. I gotta give that. I gotta give some props up to that.
Yeah. Although I found it interesting that like he's trying to say, look, I can control my ability. I can become abomination whenever I want and stop whenever I want. In my mind, that makes you way more dangerous because now it's not just like a loose cannon that you can sort of like unpredictable in some sense, but in other senses entirely predictable, right? Here, the variability of options for somebody to cause damage when they can actively control it tactically are exponentially higher. So he's way more dangerous after that display, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, arguably, although arguably it's like, well, I'm a nuclear warhead,
Right.
but I work for you guys.
Right. No, no,
You
no. But think
know?
about it this way. Think about it this way. If he is evil, and we're operating under the assumption that he is in fact evil, right? So the Hulk by himself is super, super dangerous. Smart Hulk was better because he wasn't as dangerous. Now imagine if Hulk was always evil. Now, smart evil Hulk would be incredibly way more dangerous than regular Hulk, right?
Well, the actual argument is that we don't know that Smart Hulk's not evil.
Fair enough.
We
But
we
just
just we just
extrapolating
know
that
that
he has let
he
the guard
hasn't done
down. He's
anything
dropping
evil
the
yet.
facade. He's choosing to let it be known that he's evil, that he's not hiding behind the facade. But an
Yeah.
evil smart Hulk is way more dangerous than a dumb Hulk.
Well, exactly. And that's sort of the idea, is that when these people are in control of their essences, it you start to get into this open possibility of, well, if no one holds the leash, are they really going to be good?
Right. Or will their human side take over? The
Yeah.
mutation and all that stuff is not the problem. It's the fact that you're a human being. So when that
Yes.
humanity touches this unbelievable force, that's when we run into problems.
Yeah. And but that's where it comes into how deep of a person are they? And
Mm.
it is entirely possible that, for example, a guy like Blonsky might have lines he does not cross.
Huh.
He might be no, man, I'll kill anybody you tell me to kill, unless it's like a little kid or something, but then again, that's what got Linda May in trouble, was that the actual person that she had to kill actually was a little kid, and actually they were evil. So this is from Agents of Shield, but yeah, that's where things can get a lot more complex and a lot more difficult. But I would absolutely like to see the idea that yeah, Abomination wants to be Captain Freaking America, the same way that John Walker wants to be Captain Freaking America.
I think he wants more than that.
I actually don't.
You think so? All right, that would be interesting. That'd be cool.
Because even Abomination in the stories, when he's a Russian KGB, he just wants to serve Mother Russia. He wants his burial in the wall of the Kremlin. He wants to be hailed as the hero.
Yeah, I kind of want to see, I guess, the old trope where, I gave you my all, and this is what you guys give me. Now wait till I get and revenge.
No, I actually think, and that's sort of the thing, is I think that John Walker, in the same way that you have like I say,
John Walker didn't have the same starting place as Emil Blonsky did. Emil Blonsky started the race pretty crazy and pretty.
Well, sort of. Yeah, I mean, granted. Well, of course, Emil Blonsky was much older. That's the thing. Emil Blonsky had already been a special ops guy for like 40 years, and John Walker.
The first time John Walker smashes this dude's head, he's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, and he was worried about it. He felt bad about it. He knew it wasn't the right thing to do.
Right.
But dang, it felt good in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I get the feeling that you could get a Thunderbolts with John Walker, an Abomination, and that's your people. Let me tell you about my best friend scene. I kind of want it to be Abomination and Smart Hulk running down the beach singing the song, but I would love to see it with Abomination and John Walker, because they're very much Apollo Creed and Rocky running in the beach in that scene in Rocky 3, just sort of bonding and saying, yeah, I get where I'm a soldier too. I'm a super soldier. Yeah, I got a super soldier, then I got Hulk blood. Yeah, well, my super soldier serum wasn't the one that makes you crazy. Yeah, I get that. Hulk blood's leveled me out though. And so I can absolutely see those two bonding over it. I can absolutely see, and that's the thing. I really think that if we get these Thunderbolts, we're gonna get that weird Dark Avengers and Noble Thunderbolts, where they're like, we may be bad guys, but we're not bad guys. We're not gonna do these things intentionally to hurt people, but if we need to hurt people, we absolutely will, because that's what you need to keep the world safe. It's a very complex.
But we will leave the choice in your hands.
Well, yeah. We're just following orders.
And you will find out.
Well, but that's the idea, is that, these supervillains can just follow orders. And, the fact of the matter is that, Captain America killed lots and lots and lots and lots of people. Lots of people with families, lots of people with kids. He is a stone cold murderer. He didn't do it just for fun, though. He did it because that was the job.
It's interesting. It reminds me of I was watching YouTube and I saw this poem. This guy was talking about being a soldier. It was actually a rap battle, and he was battling another soldier and talking about how he wasn't proud of his service because of all the things that he saw. And he said something to the effect of, "Look, I have enemies too. I get hailed for killing theirs, but jailed for killing mine." It's like, wow, that's a great.
That's deep, man, and but that's the point. And I can absolutely see a guy like Blonsky, a guy like Walker, totally being of that mindset of like, you got a threat, you need me to punch in the face, I will punch that guy in the face. That, quite frankly, Abomination versus Thanos, regardless of anything else, Thanos is going to have to use that Power Stone, because Abomination is going to be like judo chop, and that is where you're going to be in that moment where Thanos may be a trained fighter, but he's not special forces, and like the first thing that Abomination is going to do is like just rip off his arm. Said, not going to do much snapping now, and he'll beat him with the freaking arm, holding onto the Power Stone. And of course, Abomination will then use the Power Stone to beat Thanos to death. Yeah, and now that's a movie.
Yeah, that would be a great one.
That would be a really great movie, honestly. It's like over like 5 minutes, like Infinity Stones. just tosses it to the side because what's the point in it? You know.
And then what do we do?
Yeah. Well, then we go and we see what Abomination does. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I can imagine stories where like these guys just go off, and it's like, what was the great existential threat? Because someone had a goal and a plan, but that it would all just come apart the minute they ran into somebody who actually knew what they were doing and knew how to just be cold. It's like when Thanos faced Ultron, you know, and he just shows up and Ultron just zap, you know.
It's like, all right, yeah.
Because you can't control your left arm if you're not connected to the right side of your brain. See, that's why he did that bifurcation.
Indeed, that's cool.
Yes. But anyway, moving right along. Where were we? We were talking about this one. So Bukowski's back.
The plaintiff.
Yeah, not Puglisi, which is the first time I've ever heard it pronounced. Puglisi. I always thought it was Puglosi. But it's Puglisi. That's how the judge pronounces. The judge could be pronouncing it wrong. Everyone calls them pugs, but it's Puglisi. And I like I like Puglisi. He's really good. He's fun. He's enjoyable. But Bukowski is. I mean, I don't know if I've never read enough books with Bukowski in it to know if he was just that delusional and stupid. Although I wouldn't put it past those comics to make him be just that thick and that much of a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, he's a caricature, right? He's a placeholder. Yeah. He's a metaphor for the ills of society. So yeah, I mean, it works.
And you know, it's funny because you know there are people like that do exist.
Absolutely.
I just don't think this person is spending $175,000 on a DA's salary.
Oh.
Because he's a district attorney. He's not a high-priced lawyer. He's got a lot of debt from this, is what I'm saying, you know.
But, you know, it makes me think that he's probably involved in a lot of shady things.
That could be, he could be a very shitty character, probably taking some money on the side, getting kickbacks for where he sends people.
Or this is going to lead him down a bad road where he had to borrow all that money to fund this lifestyle, and now the debt has come due, and
that could be a real thing too, you know.
It'd be a fun problem to solve.
Although interestingly, a light elf might have like access to like 50 tons of gold, because it's not that rare in Alphaline. It's like, oh, what, you just want gold? Here, will 50 pounds of gold be enough for you? It's like, how about 100? Would you like 200? Okay, have a good day, you know. And see, that could be very funny, especially when you realize that, oh, gold is very rare here, but it's actually pretty common in Alphaline. And so we're going to call this a good day, you know. Yeah. That would be nice. But moving along, I do got to say, I liked Runa's behavior in this, where like after Bukowski leaves, she comes back and says, you know what, I was lying, I was being an idiot, and all this. It's like, wait, what?
And it's like then, you've got the same kind of like entitled brat on either side of this case.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, these are absolutely the most entitled brats in the world. And that's the thing, I absolutely believe Runa was playing him, pretending to be Megan Thee Stallion. And to be fair, there are people who, I am certain if Megan Thee Stallion came up to you and said, hey, you're kind of cute,
or someone that looked that much like her, yeah, it'd be hard not to believe it.
Exactly, you know. And you know,
although in this day and age, you know how many shapeshifters are out there, maybe you'd be a little wary, but someone in that position, sort of like, especially when you're, you know, in law, you know, you don't think anybody can get you. So it's like,
and again, that's the thing, that is the weird thing about it, because you got to remember that up until Winter Soldier, every person who showed up with powers was suppressed by S.H.I.E.L.D. If you had powers, and if they could suppress you, they would suppress you, or they would direct you, or they'd reutilize you, or they'd repurpose you. They would find ways to keep you hidden and move you into the Shield Hydra pipeline to see what you could do for them. After Winter Soldier, when Shield falls, I get the feeling that, a lot of people started to, and a lot of people probably still kept what they could do as that on the DL as much as they could, because they knew Shield would come after them. But after Ragnarok and a bunch of Asgardians drop on Earth, suddenly you got all these fairies that are going to, and I mean that in the classic term, the light elves are of the Fae. Granted, technically they're not fairies, they're elves, though the elves are part of the Fae. So, yeah, all these elves running around. It's like, no, we have magic. We're just going to use it,
Yeah.
And suddenly things get a little more complex.
It's probably a giant black market for freelancers.
Well, and to that extent, that is our final scene in this, is the Wrecking Crew showing up with their Asgardian empowered weapons.
Now, are they supposed to be like 13-year-olds?
Well, they're not 13. I think they're all like, so here's the thing about the Wrecking Crew. They are jabronis.
Okay.
They are absolutely jabronis, but they're usually really tough jabronis. And you enter into this weird part with this where there's a little bit too much bluster, and we don't get to see them not be a jabroni for a few minutes. But the idea is that these are people about to take on a Hulk with their weapons. And maybe they really could have done some absolute damage. I think I would have liked it if they'd done a lot more property damage first. So we could actually see how BA they are.
Right, and how BA she is, if they're an actual real threat. I thought they were just like Halloween costumes of kids that went out too early.
Yeah, what it really comes, and maybe if they get a second round, we're going to see it a little bit differently.
All right.
And this is where it could get very interesting, because in this one, they jump her while she's still in Gen form, because they've got to get that Hulk blood from her while she's still in Gen form, because they're not going to be able to pierce She-Hulk's skin.
But did they attack her in Gen form, or she hulks out in front of them? Right.
Yeah. Right, because Pile Driver grabs her, and he's like, I'm gonna, I have you.
Like, oh yeah.
And then it's like, he's like, oh wait, I don't have to do this. And then she just hulks out and wipes the floor with them, which is typical for the Wrecking Crew. It's sort of like, the first time you meet the Enforcers, which are a group of Spider-Man villains who are all human level, but are just like peak human level at like kung fu, and one big strong guy that just has a huge soak ability, and then the other guy was the guy with the lasso, who just has this, like, he's just can make a lasso do just about anything, and he's real good at, like, when you're not looking, he lassos you and pulls you down, and then the ox steps on you, and then Fancy Dan kicks you in the nuts, and then and you're all over, And what they were this really good team of basically protection artists,
and performers and trapeze artists.
Yeah, but the thing is that they actually beat up Spider-Man once or twice, because when he goes in there and he's not ready for it, these guys who are really at the top of their game really
and he's 17.
Yeah, and he's 17. He's a kid. Yeah. He's a kid, and these guys are experts. So like I said, like, if you put Thanos up against Abomination, Abomination is going to know how to fight. He's going to know how to feign and bob and weave and just really work the breadbasket. And Abomination will hit below the belt. He's not above that. He's very much below that. He is more than happy to do what you do. He is, he knows that Krav Maga, man. He'll gouge your eyes.
It's like I'd be way more afraid of an 80-pound pit bull than a 180-pound human.
Exactly. So moving on, but yeah, so they have their bad day here. I'm hoping they get a better day next, because they do come off as very very lame.
Yeah.
But you know, it's their first appearance. Maybe they're going to bulk up, or maybe they're just going to actually be prepared and not and be ready to attack Jen in a more formulated way.
Yeah.
Because I think they were hoping to get that jump on her, get the blood, and then the whole thing is just playing keep away with the blood till they got away after she hulks out. As it stands, she winds up hulking out too early. They don't get the blood, and then they can't, move forward from there. But I love I love the Wrecking Crew as a concept, even though they are horrifying as people. One of them actually has a degree. Like the guy who has the black guy with the ball and chain, his name is Thunderball. He's actually a astrophysicist.
Oh wow.
Or is he's some kind of physicist. Might not be astro. Might be he might actually be a molecular physicist. I don't know. But he's actually a brilliant genius. But they just all went to prison with the Wrecker. And, he formed his gang from these guys. And in that case, they were all kind of like big guys to start with. So it's a little bit different, but they all escape together. And then they get the Wrecker's magical crowbar and they get the powers. Now, in this case, they each have a magical weapon of Asgardian origin. So
yeah, and they didn't really even look like they knew how to use their weapons. It seems like somebody gave them weapons that they didn't know how to use. And they were like, oh, we got this. We're like, wait a second, you've never used nunchucks before? How hard could it be?
Yeah, that's one of the problems with it. But it's just about figuring out where they go with it next. And I think they could do more things. That's the thing. It's like we're on our third episode. For what it's worth, that's why we have 9 episodes. Because we're at the third episode. We've introduced the 8 soulmates of Abomination. We've introduced Titania. And now we've introduced the Wrecking Crew. We've got to start bringing some people back for future episodes. We got to start revisiting these themes. So I think over the next 3, we're going to revisit each one, and we're going to build out each story.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the other addition this episode was finally Wong.
Oh, Wong, yes. I did like having Wong
to testify in defense of Abomination.
And you know what's interesting about this? He says he had to break out Abomination as part of his training to become Sorcerer Supreme. But he was already Sorcerer Supreme at that point. He had been Sorcerer Supreme since...
This happens after Spider-Man, right?
Right. Well, this story happens after Spider-Man.
Right. So
his fight with Abomination happened before Spider-Man. So he was already Sorcerer Supreme.
Didn't it happen in Spider-Man?
No. His fight with Abomination happened in Shang-Chi. Now you could make the argument he's going there in No Way Home, but in truth, it actually seems like he is going back to Kamar-Taj. And when we actually see him, like it would, like most of what we think about it is this story is following its a linear timeline, so that it goes Shang-Chi, it goes No Way Home, it goes Multiverse of Madness, and exactly what happens where as it progresses through seems to be in the timeline. And so we can assume Wong was already Sorcerer Supreme, because when you look at his resume, it says the length of time he's been Sorcerer Supreme,
but no dates.
Doesn't it give you the length of time? I thought it said like he was Sorcerer Supreme for like
9 years, but
it says 9 years. Right, but you can subtract to get it back to the end of Infinity.
Right, but it doesn't tell you when he started being Sorcerer Supreme either. It just says present. It doesn't say when he started, and nor does it say when the other job ended, the librarian. So you can't really put. I mean, it's 9 years and 11 years and 9 years, but that could mean a whole host of things.
That is true. I'd like to think based on what, and again, from the way that Strange talks about it, it sounds like he was already Sorcerer Supreme when Strange got back. And because we see that Shang-Chi takes place post-blip, we can assume that Wong was Sorcerer Supreme by the time we see Shang-Chi. Because it may have been a technicality, but it was still one that when Doctor Strange returned, he didn't just get to be Sorcerer Supreme again. You know,
and it seems sort of haphazard for him to just pull Abomination out just for the sake of, I gotta practice, you know?
No, I think that is a total fabrication.
Oh, okay.
Because my actual theory is that there's an aspect to him working with Abomination and specifically testing him to test what his power limits were. Like, effectively, as Sorcerer Supreme, he has to understand what the power levels of these superheroes are, because he now has to deal with these people every freaking day.
Oh, that puts a bit of urgency on things.
Yeah, he's likely the one who reaches out to Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel, because he understands that, okay, these Infinity Stones cause these powers. These are the things that result from it. This is very similar to the magic I'm used to. I need to understand this world very much so. And to that extent, I get the feeling, that's why I say, when we see the Illuminati in Multiverse of Madness, that's not the first time we see the Illuminati. The first time we see the Illuminati is in Shang-Chi.
Do you think he's want to fight Jen Walters eventually? Is that his goal?
No. He doesn't want to fight anyone.
Oh, there's a new Hulk being born. I got to see what this is about. Come on, you know.
Well, no, I don't think he wants to fight anyone, but he wants to know what the power sets are for what he has to deal with. He is defending this entire reality, this entire cosmos. So he has to know what the threats are, what their power levels are, so that he can appropriately adjust and survive them. So when he faces Abomination, it's about knowing what the powers of Abomination is. All right, because obviously he could have fought Bruce Banner Hulk. He chose not to, because he needed to find someone who would see this as a real threat, who would actually fight like a fighter. And he didn't want to face Bruce Banner. He wanted to face someone who had the knowledge and the training. And we see by that point that
he would get crushed by Bruce Banner.
Who, Wong?
Yeah. He's the Hulk, for crying out loud. Everybody seems to forget who the Hulk is. Why is everybody like, oh, somebody could beat the Hulk? This guy could beat.
No. Well, I'm not saying that. Well, first off, what it is Bruce Banner wouldn't punch the Hulk, Bruce Banner wouldn't punch Wong, but more importantly, Wong wouldn't allow himself to get punched by Bruce Banner. In the same way that he redirects Abomination's fists, he would redirect Hulk's fists. Now, granted, Bruce Banner Hulk is probably smarter than Abomination, so he'd probably find a way to, instead of like doing that, he might, do something else, do that as a distraction. There's lots of things that different beings could do in those situations, but I really feel that's what I feel Wong is doing. He is trying to prepare himself,
fair enough,
and the team for what's going to happen, because he knows what is out there now. He knows that the world has changed, and he knows that, quite frankly, their ability to hide in Camartage is gone, which is why after Camartage is decimated by the Scarlet Witch, he's right back the next day training and building more of his sorcerer army, because he knows the threats are coming. And that's why Wong is the greatest hero in the MCU, and will be, because when it comes down to it, he's going to be the one who's been preparing for this his whole term.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be a good payoff.
Yeah. I hope they don't wharf him just so that Dr. Strange can come in and go, bippy boo, bippy boo, and now I'm the Sorcerer Supreme again. But I can see that Wong is definitely approaching this strategically.
Yeah, after the last two movies, that's a welcome change. Not happy with Doctor Strange in the last two movies.
No, that's fine. Well, and you're not supposed to be. He's meant to be an arrogant jerk,
Mm.
and he's supposed to be the superheroic version of Bukowski.
Was this like his WWE heel turn?
Who?
Doctor Strange. This last little phase, whatever we were on,
maybe
was all about making us not like Doctor Strange because we all loved him so much before.
That could be what they're doing. They're going to have him do the heel turn, and then he'll turn back to the face once he learns humility. Because that's the thing. That's the one thing about magic. That's why Dr. Doom is a petty dabbler in the field of magic, because he lacks humility. You've got to be willing to be humbled to unlock the greatest secrets. It's like the tests in Last Crusade. You have to take the leap of faith. You got to be penitent, and that's how it works. Mozzie, any final thoughts on tonight's episode?
No, I'm super excited about the show so far. Light, airy.
No episode tomorrow, my friend.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to Matt Murdock. I'm looking forward to so much in this show.
As am I. And if you likewise enjoy this show, I'd like you to write to us in a nice little letter in that wonderful fonty way that people communicate in this day and age. And you can write us that Gmail or that email at CapesandLunatics, all spelled out, all one word, at gmail.com. And if you don't like to type, if you just have thoughts you have to express like a fire in your belly that you need to shoot into a telephone, you can call us at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Leave us your message. Tell us all we need to know. And likewise, if you don't want to talk to us, but you just want to feel the presence of being a part of us, go to Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics. Again, all spelled out. There you will find all of our shows, all of the shows that I'm on, that Mozz is on, that our friends are on. At that place, you can follow the links and enjoy everything they have to offer. Meanwhile, you can also buy merchandise like amazing aluminum mugs that keep your drinks cold all night, as well as t-shirts and phone cases, and give us money for the Patreon, where you get to vote on the worst superhero film of all time. Coming soon, is it the Phantom? Yes, the Phantom versus the Spectre. The 90s versions, I believe, or the early aughts versions. Anyway, Mozz, if people like that and they want to talk to you, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And of course, you can always write to me in that same old-fashioned email way that our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things when I feel like it, like Stargirl, which is on right now, so I can't live tweet it as I'm watching it. But that's at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, you filthy landlubbers, you come to the end of another cruise. I thank you for being my friend and me crew, and I hope you join us again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arrgh.
All right.